Welcome to Behind the Story, where we discover the story behind your favourite stories. My name is Lisa Renee from the Collab Press, and I'm also a contemporary rom-com author.
And my name's Naomi Craig. I write historical fiction set in Bible times. Be sure to like and subscribe Behind the Story here on YouTube so you are notified when we get our latest and greatest author up and find out about great new books.
We have a bit of a Christmas theme going on. We have Laura Thomas coming up next with her The Christmas Cabin. But Naomi and I have also got some novellas. Caught in the Act is a Christian rom-com. And Naomi?
And I have The Weary World Rejoices, which is part of Keeping Christmas Volume 1, the blue one. And it's the story of Herod's scribe as the wise men show up to find out about Jesus. So we're just kind of celebrating Christmas even here in February. We're glad you're here watching with us. Thank you so much for tuning in. Now, this one's kind of a different one too, because we don't normally do romantic suspense here. But I guess the little story behind that, Laura Thomas is actually a friend of mine in the writer world. And she was actually, when I way back when I decided that I was going to make this story happen and I was going to be an author, Laura was the first launch team that I was on. So I really learned a lot about how to do a launch team and the professionalism that she brings. So I'm excited to bring Laura Thomas here today.
Yep, well, I can't wait to get into this interview. But first of all, let's do a quick catch up. Naomi, what are you up to at the moment?
I am still working on my New Testament fiction with our good friend Donna Elaine, and just plugging away on that, trying to learn the business side of self-publishing and making sure that I'm in a good groove for that. So how about you? What do you got coming up?
Well, by the time this goes out, Brielle and her Man Trap will be out. Just the official launch is on the 5th of February, but it will be up on Amazon on the 31st of January. So my editor, she's really great. She pushes me the edge, because I've been like the novella, like a long novella, and she's like, and I was getting the word count up, and then time's running out because I've got to get on to another project, the Trinity Lakes series. And she's like, oh, I feel like there's a scene missing here, because I've sort of like skipped, they get together and then 2 weeks later, they've been dating, and then this fallout happens, and she's like, I would like to see them, dating and and I said, yeah, I'm sort of like running out of time. So I like, yes, I know. So anyway, so I wrote a couple more scenes, showing, some fun stuff at the rapids and stuff in Clear Creek. And then there's also another scene where he's researching the grand gesture, reading all his sister's romance novels leading up to the grand. So what was his grand gesture stuff? And she's a librarian, his sister, and she talks about her book boyfriends, and he's like, book boyfriends, what the heck? So yeah, it's a lot of fun, and I think readers will like it, because I write rom-coms and it's romance, so they all get it, they get all the terms. And this guy is like, what's all this? So it makes it a lot of fun. And so that's coming out, and other than that, marketing wise, I've just handed over my Facebook advertising to a marketing team, and yeah, they've done really great. We have lots of people and rom-com authors and sweet and clean authors, so, and clean and wholesome and Christian authors. So yeah, so that's exciting. Yeah, I'm just going to sit back and let them do it all for me. And pay them lots of money.
Sounds good.
And pay Facebook lots of money.
And then you'll get lots of money. So
yes,
it all works
apparently
out.
I will. They reckon it's a 2-to-1, like double from what your investment is, the profits back on a series. Like, so yeah, you've got to have a series out there for people to binge read, basically. So once you've got a few series happening, then it's worth a while putting some money into it. So yeah, well, let's move on. We've got our guest, like we said, Laura Thomas. She's author of the Flight to Freedom series and the Christmas Cabin. Laura is a certified Hope Writers writing coach and a chocoholic, mum and nanny, married to her high school sweetheart. Originally from the UK, they live in, let me see if I can say this, Kelowna, BC. That's British Columbia now, I know. Not before Christ. As audacious empty nesters. Laura, welcome to Behind the Story.
Thanks so much for having me. It's a joy to be here.
Now, for those who aren't familiar with you, tell us a little bit about who you are and what you write.
For sure. So my name is Laura Thomas. I am a published Christian author, and I'm originally from England, as you might be able to tell. I've lived the latter half of my life in Canada, in a beautiful British Columbia. I've been married to my husband for, it'll be 35 years in May, which is scary to say out loud. And he was my high school sweetheart, been with him since I was 14 years old. We have 3 grown children, 1 beautiful little granddaughter. We're empty nesters. We are here in the house on our own. Everybody's flown the nest, and we have 2 bulldogs. There we go.
Wow. It's amazing. Your lighting is really making you look young over there. We wouldn't have
picked Got married right at 14, right there.
Oh, yeah, right at 14.
Married the husband at 14.
Right at 14, yeah.
Wow. Well, you're looking great and youthful, and it's great that you've got time on your hands to follow your passion and write romantic suspense and stuff. So your latest book, The Christmas Cabin, when Carla James flies home for the holidays at her family's cozy Canadian cabin, she has no idea what or who awaits. But after 5 years serving at her beloved Mexican orphanage, it's time to work through forgiveness, face her fears, and reclaim Christmas. Tell us the story behind this story.
Where do I begin with that one? So I've actually always wanted to write a novella. This is my first novella. And so when I finished my series called the Flight to Freedom series, which is Christian romantic suspense, there's 3 books, and I kind of wrapped it up. I felt kind of quite nicely in a bow, as if to say, there you go, everybody, it's all finished. Everyone lives happily ever after, kind of thing. But I really missed the characters, quite frankly. And so when I suddenly thought, what if I did a Christmas novella and just kind of snuck it in the series as a follow-on from that series, I've kind of already got my characters in place. Maybe I'll pick one from that was kind of like a very minor character. And being winter, I live in British Columbia, and we have white Christmases, and winter is beautiful, and I've never written a book based in my home. So I thought, why not bring a novella back to British Columbia? And so I picked Carla, who is really, she's mentioned very, very slightly in my last book, The Orphan Beach. Basically, all we know about her is that she was working at an orphanage in Mexico. She's Canadian. She wears really cool glasses to suit her mood. And she's a bookworm, and of course she loves children, but really she just kind of popped in here and there. But the fact that I'd mentioned for some reason that she was Canadian in the last book, I globbed onto that and thought, excellent, she's got a story to tell, I'm bringing her home. And that's kind of how I sort of started the ball rolling with that one. And then the actual nuts and bolts of it, I got a lot of sort of the imagery and the ideas from when I was literally snowshoeing up in the mountains with my husband. It's something we love to do. I'm not a skier, can't do the skiing, scares the life out of me, but I can snowshoe. And so I've got a very vivid imagination. So when we were snowshoeing up there, I started getting all these kind of suspenseful notions and freaking myself out, frankly. But that's kind of how it all started.
Great. So over on Amazon, Andrea says this book has it all: romance, suspense, faith, and redemption. Carla knows God will never leave her, and he doesn't. This book is a page turner you don't want to put down. And Blossom says the redeeming love of God's forgiveness, healing from trauma, and overcoming one's fears is all wrapped up in this delightful Christmas story with a heartwarming ending. So those are fantastic reviews. Congratulations.
Thanks.
What are some extra elements that you need to be aware of as you're writing the suspense besides freaking yourself out on snowshoeing and
well, I think when you know that you're writing romantic suspense, you've got to, well, with any genre that you're writing, I think it's important to respect the reader and to go into writing a genre thinking what do they need to get from this story, what's going to thrill them, what's going to excite them, what's going to satisfy them. And so specifically with Christian romantic suspense, I feel like it's a three for one. You're almost getting there. You have the thread of faith throughout. I always unashamedly put faith. I like to think that I put it in very naturally and realistically with my flawed characters, but I think that faith element is really important. The love story, because it's a romance, and who doesn't love a really great love story? And then that page turning element where literally I want my readers to be like, oh my goodness, I have to just read the next page. I cannot put this down until I find out what's happening to her. And so it's a challenge, to be honest. It's a delightful challenge, keeping those three different elements, trying to kind of juggle them like three balls juggling, just trying to keep them all going constantly, just so you don't lose any during the whole storyline. But yeah, the suspense thing is so much fun to write. I do freak myself out even writing it. But it's very rewarding, especially when people will say afterwards how much they just found it a page turner, literally. So yeah.
Do you watch a lot of crime shows or anything, or it just comes naturally to you?
I used to watch a lot of CSI, and my husband would just like leave me alone in the room because he can't stand it. But I guess it's just a bit of intrigue. I don't like gory. I don't like horror or anything like that. But the suspense and the thrilling kind of, screaming behind a pillow because what's going to happen? Then I'm all over that. Yeah.
I actually went to at an Australian conference not long, like a few months ago, and Stephen James was the speaker, and he was talking the difference between suspense and thriller. And so it was really like an eye-opener to me, because like you can still have, even just in a normal romance, have suspenseful moments where the reader sort of knows that this is going to happen, but the character doesn't know. Whereas the thriller is just it's happening, and you're and all the mystery, you don't know what's going to be happening, and the reader doesn't know. But with the suspense, you might be laying this foundation, like they saw this happening, like someone putting a bomb in a box or whatever and delivering it to the door, and then the suspense of the person coming to open it. But also it was interesting, you don't have to have the gore and stuff like that, on the page. It can be it's just like, are they going to get caught out? Like I have a romantic suspense. I guess it ended up being a suspense, but I definitely don't like gore or anything. So pretty much it's just like, is she going to get caught out because she's got a fake identity? But yeah, I didn't really, it's just because of the trope that I chose, mistaken identity. And it was like, she was in a witness protection program, but I made it all comedy instead. So you don't have to have, on page blood and stabbings or anything like that.
No, for sure. I think intrigue is a big part of suspense as well. Like you say, with a thriller, it can be more like shocking, maybe. I think there's definitely the intrigue, and sometimes suspense can be a bit of a slower burn. Not always. Even in romantic suspense, it just, you can have some that swing way more on the romance heavy side, and others that, likewise on the more heavy on the suspense, with just like maybe a little trickle of a romance possibly happening. But I guess that's the beauty of it. You get to kind of choose what your sweet spot is. And I do try and keep it that fairly balanced for my own books.
So do you have like a crime in your one, or what's the suspense element for your one, or this Christmas book in particular?
The suspense element for it, it's so hard without giving too much away. But Carla, our protagonist, she's come to a point in her life where she knows she needs to come to terms with something that happened a long time ago. Coming home for Christmas is a very big part of her getting closure. What takes her by surprise is that the closure doesn't happen as she expected. Yeah, so there's definitely crime involved. It's a lot of her past that is actually dredged back up again before she can move forward. It's a story of second chances and forgiveness.
So the crime is not on page, it's in the past.
For this particular one, the crime is the main crime is in the past, but there's the possibility of another one, shall we say? It's always so hard. It's always so hard, right, to try and explain your storyline because you know it so well without kind of ruining it for anybody who may not have read it.
All I have to say is just go to Laura's website and watch the trailer because it puts like a creepy sort of vibe on. Was that Dance of the Sugar Plum? Is that
yes, right?
Like this traditional airy fairy music, and then it's like dun, dun, dun.
It's all in like minor keys, so it's very kind of yes. I love putting trailers together for these books. I find that very rewarding.
Yeah, awesome, cool. So we know a bit about Carla, that she's into books and that kind of stuff and wears quirky glasses to suit her mood. What makes her tick? What's her motivations and what makes her tick?
That's a good question. I think she's almost trying to find that out herself a little bit in this book, to be honest. Her background is that she knew she would end up doing something with children. And like I said, she ended up actually working in Mexico for 5 years at an orphanage and really loved that. It happened at a really tough time for her. It was a good time for her to go and just like leave home and be away. But she's had a lot of these issues from the past that have hung over her, even though she's dealt with them to a certain degree. She's got a strong faith, which has been really, really important for her. But she's just at a point now where she's kind of, I think, where a lot of us find ourselves from time to time, like, what's next? I feel like I've been here for a long time and something's got to shift. And so that's kind of, I guess, making her tick. She doesn't want to go against God's will. That's really big for her. So I think listening for his voice in all of this, and then that gets a little bit kind of deafening when all the crazy begins. But yeah, she's a book loving, child loving. I'd like to be her friend. She's not perfect. She has her faults. She's got a sister, and the two of them are polar opposites, and it was quite fun to write their characters. But yeah, she's struggling right now, but hang on in there. I think she's going to be okay.
So does she come back to Canada and she's planning on going back to Mexico, or she's just done with her commitment? Or
yeah, she plans to go back, but she's holding it with an open hand. So it's very much like, what's next for me, God? You want, for the first time she's feeling, am I where I'm supposed to be? And that's a new feeling for her. So it was quite fun getting into her skin. Definitely
a relatable feeling, right? I think, for all of our viewers. Am I where God wants me to be?
Yeah,
that's great. Exactly. Excellent. So as a midpoint question, comment below, tell us, it's very important, do you read Christmas all year round? Let us know in the comments below, because we are celebrating the Christmas cabin and it's going to be February. So we're excited about that. But do you read Christmas all year round? Comment below and let us know.
Excellent. Yes, we have some people that do read Christmas all around, and I want to know about that because from Australia, we just pretty much Christmas is not really as celebrated as big as, you know, America. So it's quite interesting to us. So Laura, let's talk about your writing. So when you were writing this particular story, The Christmas Cabin, did you get out of it any personal lesson during your journey of writing it?
Do you mean like as in the craft of writing, or me personally in my...
Yeah, like, you know,
or both?
is it sort of therapeutic to you? Do you sort of like bring in your own experiences, or you actually learning from the character as they journey? Like, do you get something personal?
Spiritual journey.
Yeah, I think yes, in answer to your question, yes, I have learned a lot. I think I've learned a lot through, to be honest, every single book that I've written, and I've written in quite a few different genres. For Carla, like I was saying, just being in that part of her life where she's wants to know that she's not wasting her time, basically. That I mean, there's no guarantees for anybody. We never know what's around the corner and how much time we have, and are we in his will? Is there something more, something better, something different? And the fear that comes with that, I think she really has to work through that fear and really trusting him, that he doesn't leave her ever. And for me, I think that's just a comfort as well, just knowing that whatever choices I'm making personally with my family or my writing or my whatever, just knowing that God is never going to leave me, and he's never going to leave me high and dry, not answering me as well. You know, like with Carla, she really was sincere in wanting to know what she was supposed to do with her next step. And God has never left me dangling either. Like sometimes it's wait, sometimes it's be patient, and I am not a patient person. So again, I learn patience through every book that I write, because I always just want it to work out quickly and properly and all the rest of it. And sometimes I feel like God's kind of slowing me down in the process and being, no, you've got to walk through this, because I also want my reader to be able to resonate with the characters as well. I think that's super important.
So tell us about your experience with Hope Writers. What do you do? You're a coach, or is that what you're doing with Hope Writers?
I am now. Yeah, I've been a member of Hope Writers for I think it's 6.5 years now, so for quite a long time. And they're just a great online community. They're in the States, I'm in Canada, but they have members all over the world. We have some great teaching every week. The sense of community is huge. It's grown incredibly since I began in it. And then in 2021, I became a certified Hope Writers coach. So I can do writing coaching now from my website or through Hope Writers. And that's an absolute joy, because I mean, I'm sure you ladies are the same. Anything talking, writing with anybody is just like a bonus. And if I can talk to people and help them through their journey, through their struggles, if they're stuck, that kind of thing, it's just, yeah, it's wonderful. Plus I can do it from over Zoom from the comfort of my home, which is just huge bonus.
What would you say is something readers would be surprised to learn about you?
Okay, so I knew you were going to ask this, and I really struggled with it. So I asked my husband. I was like, what would they be surprised? I don't know. So it's such a hard one, because I think, okay, so here was his answer. So he said, you should tell them, because they probably think you're totally like introverted because you're a bookworm and you're a writer. And I actually am a huge introvert. I'm what I call a bubbly introvert. So I love this. I love getting together with people one-on-one and stuff, but it like sucks the life out of me. So I love being at home. I'm a homebody. I'm an introvert. So he said, you should tell them that you are really comfortable on stage, and you have been since you were like 7 years old. So I was like, maybe I'll throw that out there. So yes, so that's my thing that might surprise people. As a child, I did a lot of acting and dancing and singing, and then I sang in my teens. I headed up a Christian band, and then I was a worship director and a worship leader for a few decades. So there, is that okay?
Yeah, that is surprising. Yeah, that's right. I mean, I have a daughter, she's very sweet and introverted, and then she got a lead role in a play and with the most words and stuff like that. And she just was just confident and just did it. I was like, wow, you know, she was like the most quietest in the drama group. And then when she did her, you know,
That's so cool.
they got everyone to audition and then she got the major part. So yeah, it doesn't mean that you can't like get into the zone and focus. And
absolutely. So
that's
there you go. Surprise.
Awesome. So when we follow you on your primary social media, what can we expect? What makes your account, you know, say Laura Thomas, what's on your reels and your reviews and stuff?
That's a very interesting question. I kind of hope, like the tagline on my website is heartwarming encouragement for your soul. So I really hope that that's what you would find wherever you see me. I like to give a good mix of soul encouragement, like quite literally sharing devotions. I'm a devotion writer as well, and Bible verses and just things that have encouraged me in my faith walk. But also I love to read. And so especially fiction, of course. And so I'm always talking about all the different books and book recommendations and all that kind of a thing. So hopefully it was quite funny. I did a reel this week and I had a few people message me saying, Laura, you have an accent. Where have you been? So
maybe you should put that as
I must look Texan or something. I don't know.
that's what you should put down as you're surprising to other people. I have an accent. I'm not from the United States or Canada.
True. Yes, that could be another surprise. Met so many surprises.
So what's the best social media to follow you on? Your Facebook or Instagram? Which one's your
I would say my favorite is Instagram, to be honest. I'm in all the places and like my website's got all of the things there, but yeah, I'm a very visual creature, so I really enjoy Instagram, and that's definitely where you'll find me at Laura C. Thomas.
And that's your website as well as Laura Thomas Author. Is that correct? That's where you can
That's
find
right.
you?
That's laurathomasauthor.com. And everything's there. My books, my coaching, my blog, all the socials, everything.
Excellent. Well, it's been a joy to have you on. Thank you so much for sharing with our listeners on Behind the Story.
Oh, it's been so much fun, and it was lovely to see you both.
So remember to connect with Laura. We'll have her links in the show notes. She's also offering 2 digital copies of her suspense books, obviously the Christmas Cabin and one of your choice. So you can check out her books and see which one you would like to win.
And it's a really easy King Sumo. All you need to do is give us your email, and that's so we can get in contact with you later. We don't keep that for anything, but it's one and done, and then you'll be entered. And, as always, we do have our own freebies. And I'd also like to mention once again, my Christmas novella is in Keeping Christmas Volume 1 collection, and that is called The Weary World Rejoices.
Great. Yeah. And I've got my book, my ebook, my Christmas one, Caught in Our Act rom-com. It is on sale for 99 cents if you want to grab that, if you're in the Christmas mood. But also my freebie is Fake Engagement Mistake. The link will be in the show notes. And Naomi has On Desolate Heights, a biblical fiction as well. So we'll have that in the show notes. Don't forget to subscribe as well. And we will keep you in the loop. What have we got coming up next, Naomi?
Coming up next, we've got the biblical novelist from the UK, Amanda Bedsra. So we're going to have fun with that time frame. But I can't wait to talk to her about her biblical novels as well. So that's it for today's show. Thanks so much for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe so you're notified of the next great content coming. And until next time, let us run this race with endurance, looking unto Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith. Thanks so much for joining us.